Hello and welcome to Your New Dad. I'm your host, John Wayne Freeman. Kids, I'm excited to be back with you. Are you having a great 2025? Is it a terrible 2025? Well, today we're going to talk about the biggest issue of our day, and that is the fight for your mind, for your soul, for your dollar bill, y'all. This is why I started Your New Dad. Because I wanted to talk to you kids. Many of you are misled. I know what you're thinking, John. How do you know that I'm misled? Well, it's because I, as your father, have been pulled in so many different directions at different times in my life. Are you stuck in the past, thinking about what choices you should have made? You should have zigged when you zagged there, and now your life sucks. Are you riddled with anxiety because you're constantly thinking about the future and what's going to happen? Or are you like the people that we meet on the internet who are present and seemingly have it all together? Well, newsflash, kids, nobody has it all together. Nobody has all the answers. You are a fallible human being. And I would like to share with you kids what I think one of the major issues in 2025 is. It's the abundance of information from multiple sources that is being shoved into your brain and your beautiful little ears 24/7. Just think about it, folks. Back in the day, if we wanted to spread information, we would talk to other people in the village. We'd say, hey, did you hear about this? This is where the gossipy gossips come from. So getting to the root of truth was probably a little simpler. And I know what you're thinking. People weren't as smart back then. Oh, they weren't? Do you know how to survive without plumbing? Do you know how to hunt your own food? Do you know how to cook your own food? But they didn't even know how to wash their hands. Yeah, I get it. But they were smart in different ways, folks. Yeah, they didn't live as long. That's true. That's true. But everybody now thinks they're a genius. Everybody thinks they're an expert. But it's not true. We have access to much more information. But get this. On these little devices right here, we can give our opinions. So what I've found is we have millions and millions of people on here that are like the person at a party that corners you and just won't shut up, and you can't get away from them. And they get to give you their opinion. People aren't smarter. They're still just as dumb as they ever were, but everybody thinks they're smarter. So information. Back in the day, you had the carrier pigeon. I don't know when when they figured that these guys could deliver messages, but it was long ago. So there was talk amongst the village. Did you hear there's people coming to raid? We better try to protect ourselves or move camp. There was that. But then there was a carrier pigeon. You would send it out with a little scroll and it would get the information wherever it was like 2 days later. And they'd say, hey, someone's storming the castle. Somebody's storming the castle. And then they'd be like, all right, we better get to the castle to help them. And then they'd get there and everybody would be dead in the castle. And they'd be like, dang, I guess the pigeon was too slow. And then we have the telegram. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. And the information would get there a little bit quicker. Then we have radio. Oh my goodness. Radio pops up in the world and all of a sudden people are telling stories. Orson Welles is talking about an alien invasion and people think it's real. Yeah. And they freak out. Oh, we respond to stories. It's amazing. So the radio, everybody sits around the fire and listens. That's a form of entertainment. And some of the Christian folks are like, the radio bad. Radio bad. Don't listen to radio. And then television. Good God, does television come? And television changes the game. People are like, don't watch too much television. It'll rot your brain. And it's used to sell products. It's used to entertain us. It's used to dull our senses. It's used to give us the news. And it's truth, right? Walter Cronkite, he's a trustworthy guy. He's going to tell us what's going on in the world. And then we get the interweb. Yes, sirree, the internet. And all of a sudden, information is coming at us quick. And then every dork in the world can post his opinion via social media and all the apps. Sure, it starts with blogs. Remember blogs? Someone's blogging. Then we got people that are just spitting their opinion 24/7. People are writing books. How do you raise kids? Every week we get a new book. This is the right way to do it. There's global warming. The whole world's going to end in 5 years. This, that, vote for that guy, this guy, blah, blah, blah. So the point is, kids, you have too much information coming into your head and it discombobulates you. Yeah. And add on top of that, incredibly powerful drugs that are prescribed, usually in pill forms, that a massive amount of our population is on. Many of which we don't entirely know what they do to you long term. We do know for a certain subset of people, many of these pills have horrible side effects, but we'll just brush those under the rug because money, money, money. So the point is, there's a bunch of people with a lot of money that oftentimes have an agenda that are fighting to get your dollar, your soul, your brain. They don't care about you, but guess what? I do. That's why I started Your New Dad. And I don't know if your dad told you stuff like this, but I'm going to tell you right now. If you are alive and you are listening to this in 2025, you are one of the luckiest, most fortunate people, yes, human beings that has ever existed. You live in a time when literally anything is possible. And yet we still have so many miserable, lost, distraught, misled human beings. Now, why is that? Perhaps all the information, all the propaganda that you've got from the time you were born, and you could have been born into a great family with a great mom and dad, or a terrible family, and maybe you looked to somebody else for information. Maybe you found somebody online. Maybe there's a television personality. Maybe you got lost in fantasy. Probably wasn't books. Not a lot of book readers these days. The thing that's been around forever, books, which are actually can be extremely healthy for you. Instead, you replaced it with a television show. Were you raised by a character on TV, movies, video games? You got lost in a world that may have, no, it most certainly did, affected your mind. So how do you get rid of all that clutter? You don't need to pay some guy, particularly males, to scream at you and yell at you and get you fit and trim. No, you don't need to do any of this. You need to turn all of this shit off and start going for walks. I know, it's so simple. You need to get all the shit out of your system, which I'm still trying to do, which I've been honest. 90 days as of yesterday, no alcohol, no weed, nothing, no prescription drugs. What do I still have? I have caffeine. Is caffeine the best thing for John? No, it's not. Maybe eventually I'll switch to tea, and then perhaps maybe just water. That would be the ultimate. And I still got the nicotine problem. Nicotine raises your blood pressure. Long term, not good for you. It's the reason my skin looks like it's 55. A guy said to me the other day, I was surfing, he goes, "What are you, about 55?" And I about shit my pants. But then I thought, you know what, John? You've been in the sun for ages. You're doing tons of nicotine, which is a vasoconstrictor, makes your skin look like shit. So, hey, that's on me. Do I really care? No. I'm getting old. I'm bald. It doesn't matter. And that's one of the most beautiful things about aging. So you get all that shit out of your system, which can be incredibly hard to do. You get back to homeostasis. You don't need anybody to do this for you. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. And then you start to think about Why do I believe all the things I believe? Was I indoctrinated, whether it was from my school? Because I don't know if you know this, folks, but our entire United States, okay, there's warring ideologies. It's a beautiful place where you can be free, but that doesn't mean that there aren't people trying to get you to believe certain things. In fact, that's exactly what's going on. And oftentimes there's ideologies. Oftentimes there's just people that own companies or own politicians that want your dollar bill. They want control. So you have to get real quiet and real healthy and really think about your purpose. That's the word that comes up over and over again. And I think so many people could do so many incredible things. I don't think that there's anything keeping normal people from being the next Gandhi or the next blah, 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 whatever you think it is, great man or woman, other than all this gnarly stuff. And it can be our food. Do you eat candy all day? Do you eat fast food all day? It's hard. They've figured out how to trick us. They know how to use our dopamine. Boop, boop, boop. But certain ideologies, I don't know. Let's just talk about one ideology, okay? And it's no surprise if you've been listening to Your New Dad, you know which way I vote. No, I do not watch Fox News all day. No, I do not watch CNN all day. I simply look at patterns. I look at healthy, functioning families and children that I meet that are awesome and are well-adjusted, and adults that are awesome and well-adjusted that tell the truth. And I go, why is that? And I see patterns. And you, the listener, my kids, you can do the exact same thing. But let's just give an example, okay? There's an ideology that has been around for a while. There was a man named Karl Marx. Have you heard of him? He died in the late 1800s, okay? And communism, you've heard about it. You read a book. Maybe you were paying attention in school. Maybe you weren't. It's a system, a political system, right? The workers rising up. Yes, utopia is going to come. And then we have our system in the United States, which is much different than that. Now, in a free country, freedom comes with a lot of wonderful things, right? The diverse mix of immigrants, all the people that came here, all the different talents, we resource all of our strengths, we put them together, and we create this beautiful place. But certain ideologies spring up. And in the 60s, a lot of people start doing drugs. There's the hippie movement. And we get a lot of people who think they are very wise sages. Well, newsflash, doing drugs does not necessarily create geniuses and brilliance. It can make you think you are, but that's not necessarily the case. Everybody biologically reacts differently to things that they put into their body, but a movement starts, okay? And some people call it cultural Marxism. I know. If you look it up on Google, which, by the way, you might want to look up who owns Google. It's going to give you a different response of what cultural Marxism is than if you put it in, a different search engine such as DuckDuckGo. It begins to infiltrate these ideas, right, into what I like to call the robes. What are the robes? People that wear robes. Our court system, all the judges, our professors, at graduation, they wear the robes. So in our institutions of learning, education, public school system, and then it influences our religions, right? And everything starts, our churches, our TVs, our movies, our music. All of these bad ideas begin to spread quickly and rapidly, and you have two different warring factors. Huh? You see what I'm talking about? And in 2008, we get a president. He's going to save the world. Hope and change. Mr. Barack Hussein Obama here in the United States. We have all the hope in the world. Race relations are going to get better. They don't. Well, maybe look up Mr. Barack's past. What was he into? Oh, full-on cultural Marxist. That's what he was all about. He's about getting in the streets. He's about being an activist. He has some crazy, crazy ideas. And also, he has more drone strikes under his belt than anybody you can imagine. And we see all the crazy stuff. Cops are bad. I'm a victim. LGBTQ, all this stuff. By the way, that's the most fascinating thing. If you ever want to just go down just a fun little route, a little trail, a little rabbit hole, look into the LGBTQ movement. Lesbians. Yes, we all know some lesbians. I used to have a wonderful landlord who was a lesbian. Her and her partner were incredible, wonderful people. But historically, they don't get along with the G's, which are the gays. And the L's and the G's, what is their whole thing that they have been telling us and fighting for? I am born this way, right? I'm born this way. And that's been the fight. Freedom. They want to get married. They want to do that. They want to do everything. All right. That's what they want. We live in the United States of America. They've been persecuted. Okay. They got their movement going on. Right on. Then we got the B's. I think they just throw them in there because the B's are the B's, right? But then we get the T's. And the T's, well, they don't argue that they're born that way. They change, right? They transition. So historically, the L's and the G's haven't really got along. I don't know if you know this. And the T's, they really don't get along with. And then we add the I's, intersex. That's a biological condition. You're really born that way. So you mush them all together. And then there's infighting and there's movements and we have television shows. Everything's gay, blah, blah, blah. Then everyone's racist, da, 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 da. And it grows and it grows and it grows and things get totally chaotic. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of people, the majority of people, what we used to call the silent majority, who are just waking up. They want to get married. They're straight. They want to have a family. They want to live. They want to die. They want their kids to continue on and flourish. And so these things tend to bump into each other. Oh, in a big way, around 2020. There's something that comes around called COVID, which starts in a laboratory in China, gain of function. And we are told it didn't. We had nothing to do with it. This is the United States. And it's released somehow. Still don't know how it got out. And all of a sudden, everybody freaks out and the world goes on lockdown. Then, as you know, there's a magical vaccine that comes along. Now, I only say this, folks, because I was in ground zero working as a paramedic when this all kicked off. Now, imagine little old dad, John Freeman, and there's this spooky virus that is out and everybody is locked down. But I'm out working, wearing the beekeeper suit, going into people's houses, going into hospitals, and we don't know what this is. We don't know how it spreads. I don't know if it's going to kill me. And I'm just like, well, God, this was for about 2 weeks. I was like, guess this is my job. Zigged when I should have zagged. Decided to become a paramedic. Guess I'm going to die. This is the plague. But very soon I realized this is affecting the people that any disease has always affected. People with comorbidities, massively overweight people, people that don't take care of themselves. It's not killing children. It's killing very, very old, vulnerable people, but not the very, very old, healthy people. Wow. And it's reacting differently in different humans. Do they have enough vitamin D? Do they have enough magnesium in their body? Do they take zinc? I'm looking at all this and I'm going, wait a second. This isn't killing everybody. We should protect the vulnerable. You know, people that are in a very, very, very poor state health-wise. But no, let's spread this thing to everybody. Let's give it to everybody, this vaccine. Kids, that, this, the other thing. And then I'm like, wow, people are reacting to this vaccine poorly. For instance, I knew a nurse that died quickly 2 days after she took it. Then I had a friend whose wife took it and dropped dead on the kitchen floor a couple days after taking it. Whoa, wow. Oh, we're being lied to. Yeah, you're being lied to. You've always been lied to. So you got to have a brain. You got to have a mind. Cops aren't all bad. A lot of cops are great. There's bad people everywhere, but you can't say that. Not everyone's racist. Oh, whoa. The white male, that's me. The cis white gender male, he's the worst thing in the world. No, that's not true at all. Oh, so we see everything come to a head, right? BLM pops off. There's people in the streets. We're burning down cities. But that's okay. That's all right. That's good. And people got tired of this. They got sick of it. So then you got Donald Trump 2.0. And that's where we're at currently. Does this make sense? Yeah. So you have been led, some of you, not those of you that are smart, down a road that may not be correct. And I can say assuredly, there are a lot of lost people. And I think many of them have just been affected by cultural Marxism and they don't understand it at all. Whether they went off as a freshman to college, got indoctrinated by their professors who are supposed to be smart, whether they were trusting of their doctors. These are all just people that are telling you these things. They're not necessarily smarter than you just because they have a title in front of them. And then everybody got a voice to yell and scream, right? Every idiot and their brother can give their opinion. Doesn't make it right at all. It's like when you get backed into a corner at a party and there's a person talking to you that you're like, this is clearly an imbecile, but you can't escape. Well, that's the internet. Every single person gets to spout stuff. So you're filled with information and it causes confusion and everything affects you. Yes, music affects you. Movies affect you. Television affects you. Podcasts affects you. Everything. So you need to find the truth and listen to your gut, your soul, your heart, and possibly the way you were raised. Maybe those things aren't working so well. Maybe you don't have the best judgment. Okay? You need to be honest with yourself. Do you have a high IQ, but you're stupid and susceptible to certain things? Or maybe you don't have the highest IQ, and that's okay. Maybe you're really smart in other ways. Everybody is fighting for control of you, your mind, your soul, and your heart. So cleanse out your body, turn off the internet. You're addicted to it, so it's going to be tough. You're going to have to turn it off. Maybe get a flip phone. Stop watching TV. Start reading great minds from the past. All these people that didn't have all these outside influences, they had a lot of time to sit around and think about things. And there is some beautiful literature that you can read. Maybe if you're not a good reader, you could listen to it on audio, but always question the source. Look to the great minds. Read your Bible. There's a reason so many people now are coming back to Christ, coming back to the Bible, coming back to the Word of God, because they're realizing that there is something more. And you are designed as a human being for a purpose, okay? But it's not somebody else's purpose. You're not designed to be a pawn in some stupid game and just die. And you were just a toady who went along with everything. Is this making sense? Are we tracking? And I say this as your father because so many people have not been told this. All right? And it's going to be difficult. But the end result of all this, of you clearing out your heart, clearing out your body, getting healthy, is guess what? You might, as a human being, because you're a receptacle that God created, God's greatest creation, you might have something to offer the world that everybody needs. Do you understand that? Your purpose might be so big that it changes the course of human history. And you might have low self-esteem and think, no, I'm just designed to be a little worker bee. No. Maybe you're called to a higher purpose. Are you called to be the best mom or dad? Absolutely. Could your kids be those people that become something amazing? Do you need to keep them out of the public school system? Or do you need to put them in the public school system because they're leaders, not followers? Wake up. Wake up. And I'm no sage. I'm in the process of all this myself. I have been affected by things people say online. I've been led down different paths where I believed information that I later found out not to be true. The sign of an intelligent human being is being able to realize when you're being lied to, being able to course correct, take a different direction, and find the truth. But here's the sick thing. A lot of the ideology that is pushed in this day and age is that there is no truth. It is your truth that matters, and that alone. That's not true at all. Because a lot of those things of what you think your truth is not at all the truth. And it leads to destruction. It leads to a gross path that will eventually end in disease and death. Wow, that was great. We went a little long today, but I want to say this to you from the bottom of my heart. Be careful what you let into your ears and into your heart. Because you might think you're a big, bad adult. You're a child. We're grown children. And all of these wise sages that you think you're following, most of them aren't wise. They're not. They're adults who found something, a niche, and they're using it to exploit other human beings. So be somebody who's truthful. Be somebody who stands for something. Love, kindness. That's a great place to start. Okay? And listen to other people in person. Look them in the eye. Talk to them. Let them share where they're at. And hopefully they'll listen when you share where you're at and come together. But all of these devices, all of these things, all the information that you've been given, you need to do a real deep dive into your own brain and go, why do I believe what I believe? Maybe you're under a mass hypnosis. Got it? So try to think outside yourself, look down at yourself and go, how did I get here? And why do I have the structure of beliefs that I have? And if some of them are just absolutely batshit wrong, you can fix them. And you can do great things because that is why you're here. And the only difference between world changers and people who do nothing is that they simply decided to make that choice and head in that direction. And you will find yourself in rooms with people that you never imagined simply because you're one of the real ones. This was your new dad. I love you. God bless you. We'll see you next week. Hee shaka.